Hello everyone and welcome back to Genie Crafts. In today's video, we are going to talk about how you can design the structure and the template for a multi-sided 3D light box. So we are going to see how we can create this particular structure and template for a Christmas and a New Year light box. So guys, let's get started. We are going to design the structure of the light box and then templatize in Microsoft PowerPoint application. So open a Microsoft PowerPoint slide and remove everything from the slide. Now generally we are going to take printout on A4 size paper. So under the design tab, change the dimensions of the slide to A4 size, and while you are at it, also change the orientation from landscape mode to portrait mode, because most of the time your light box will be in a vertical direction and not in a horizontal direction. Now this particular light box contains 5 faces, 4 on the side and 1 at the top. So that is what we are going to design. The reason why we are using Microsoft PowerPoint application will be explained a little later, but now let's start with the designing of each of the face and how we can connect them together. Now this light box is nothing but many cubes situated one inside each other. So I'm going to show you the process for one of the cubes. Even before you start building the light box, it's important that you have the dimensions of your light box clear in your mind. In my case, the light box has a base of 16 by 16 centimeter and a height of 25 centimeter. So I'm going to insert a rectangle on the slide and then I'm going to change the dimensions to 25 by 16. Now this 25 by 16 rectangle represents one of the sides of the light box. Similarly, I'm going to build the other sides of the light box also, but you actually need to do work only on one of the sides. Rest of the sides you can do copy paste. So insert the rectangle, change the dimensions and then align the rectangle at the center vertically and horizontally with the help of the align menu. Once you have done that, change the fill color of the rectangle to a slightly lighter gray color just for your reference, and change the outline of the rectangle to black, and if the line is very thin, then you can thicken the line under the weight section in the shape outline drop down to a slightly thicker line. Select the rectangle by clicking it and create a copy of the rectangle by pressing Ctrl C and Ctrl V on your keyboard. This will create a replica for the rectangle. The reason why we are creating this second rectangle is to create a buffer area around the border of the side. So we are going to reduce the dimension of this rectangle by 0.5 millimeter on each of the sides. So if the outer rectangle is of 25 by 16 centimeter, the inner rectangle is going to be 24 by 15 centimeter, and we are going to change this in the shape format and change the dimensions there. And once again we are going to align the inner and the outer rectangles centrally, horizontally as well as vertically. So this will create a symmetrical structure of two rectangles together. Once we are done, now we need to remove the area of the inner rectangles. So we will select both the rectangles and then in the shape format menu under the merge shape section, we are going to select the combine option, which is going to cut out the area of the inner rectangle, and basically you are going to be left with a strip rectangle of 5 millimeter width. Now the inner area is where you will place your designs for the light box. Now to create the cube, you will obviously need to connect this side to the other sides, and for that we are going to attach a flap just like we see in the low poly models. So to attach the flap, go into the insert menu and from there select the trapezium option, which will allow you to create a trapezium shape. The dimensions of the flap will be like this. The height of the flap can be anything between 0.5 to 1 centimeter, but not less than 0.5 or not more than 1 centimeter, because then it will be too small of a flap or too big of a flap and it will not be good. Rotate the flap under the rotate menu so that the larger of the sides is aligned with the side of the rectangle and the smaller of the sides is on the outside, just like the flaps you see in the low poly model. Once you are done, then change the width of the flap equal to the height of your side, which is in this case 25 centimeter, and you can color the flap exactly same as way you have colored the rectangle. Once you are done with the rectangle and the flap, press Ctrl A to select everything on the slide and then right click and under the group select group. This will combine both the rectangle and the flap together, and now if you will move them, both will move together so that the alignment is not going haywire. Now every slide we are going to clearly mark whether this is the front side, top side, back side, or the left side, right side. So at the top of the slide, clearly mention which layer you are working on and what side it represents. So this is the front side that we have made. Obviously all the front, left, right, back they all are going to look exactly the same except the top and the bottom, because their dimensions are different. So once you are done, create a copy of this particular slide to take into account for the right, left and the back portion of your cube. While this will be a fairly symmetrical model and will not require numbers on the edges and the flap to connect together, because it's quite visible where each thing is going to connect, but just to be sure, for third person who is not well versed with the low poly model, put numbers on the sides and the flaps to clearly show how the front, left, right, back and the top faces are going to connect. So ensure that you are putting numbers. Also, I talked before that why I'm using PowerPoint. You can always build this structure in a 3D tool and then unfold it in PAPERART, but the problem is that on PAPERART it will not be exported as a separate image. Here in PowerPoint you have enormous flexibility to create the structure as per your requirement. We will talk about this a little bit more, but for now let's get back to the construction of the structure. Insert a new slide to create the top portion. Now the top and the bottom of your Lightbox is a 16 by 16 square. So the process is again exactly the same like we did for the sides. Create a 16 by 16 square, then create a replica of the square, reduce its dimension by 0.5 millimeter on each of the sides, then combine the two shapes together to get the strip rectangle. Once you are done with that, then you color and outline the rectangle like I showed before, and then attach the flaps on the sides. And once everything is done, combine all the pieces together by using the group option in the menu, and then place the numbers corresponding to the other numbers on the rest of the faces. Next, we need to create the base for the outermost cube, and only for the outermost cube the base is required. For rest of the inner cubes the base is not required. So once again create a rectangle or a square of 16 by 16 centimeter, because that is the size of the base, and the structure of the base will be something like a central pole attached to the base through on which we are going to put the LED strip light, and it is going to look something like this. To create the flaps around the square, copy it from the top face where you have already created the flaps. Just copy it and directly paste it on the slide where you are preparing the bottom of the cube. Next, we need to create a hole of 5 by 5 centimeter at the center of this square. So create a copy of the square and change the dimension to 5 by 5, and then centrally align it vertically and horizontally, and then utilize the same process of combining the shapes together to cut out the area at the center. Attach flaps of the same size of 5 centimeter width on two of the sides of the central hole, or on all four sides. That's completely up to you. Attach the flaps, and then we'll proceed to the next step of creation of the light pole that is going to be situated at the center of this square. Now the hollow light pole, which will be at the very center of the base of your light box, you have to be very careful about the height of it. So my light box has total of 5 layers. Each of the inner cube is separated from its outer cube by 5 millimeter on each side. That is, at the top and on the 4 sides there is a gap of 5 millimeter. So going by that, the height of the innermost cube will be something like, it will reduce like this, from 25 centimeter to 24.5 centimeter to 24 centimeter to 23.5 centimeter to 23 centimeter. So I will have to have certain amount of gap between the top of my light pole and the top of the innermost cube. So let's say that I want to keep a gap of 4 centimeter between the top of the inner cube and that of the light pole. So the height of my inner pole will be 19 centimeters. So as you can see that I have created the 4 sides of 19 centimeter height, but since all 4 are not able to accommodate on one slide, so I will split them into 2 slides and create the flaps to connect them together. Initially I had this entire structure designed in Blender very quickly, and then I had it exported to PAPERART and unfolded it. But the problem with PAPERART is that even if you can separate each of the sides on one single printing page of PAPERART, the export is still an issue. So when you export, it is going to be exported as a BMP or a SVG image, and if there is even a slight mismatch in terms of the magnification of the images or in terms of the scale of the images, the entire structure is going to go haywire. Also the flexibility is less. You cannot attach rest of the images to create the design for your Lightbox. Hence I moved on to Microsoft PowerPoint, wherein I can manually create each of the sites and manipulate it as per my wish to create the structure the way I want. And once you have this template created, you can keep it aside, save it as a separate file, and utilize it for as many Lightbox designs as you want. Lastly, to cap off the top of the light pole or to close the top of the light pole, create a 5 by 5 centimeter square and keep it separate. This will close the top of the light pole, and the hollow structure of the light pole is going to allow you to run the wires through it, so that you can just put the wire inside the light pole, take it out from the top and connect to the LED strip around the light pole. We will see that in the part 3 of this video. So this is the part 1 where I'm just showing how to create a blank template for a multi-sided 3D Lightbox, and in the part 2 I'm going to show how to add designs to this Lightbox so that you can take a printout and utilize them for cutting purposes. Follow the same process for rest of the inner cubes also. It's just that the dimensions for the inner cubes will keep on decreasing. So for the second layer of the inner cube, the dimensions will be, height will be 24.5 to create a gap from the top of the outermost cube by 5 millimeter, and the base will reduce by 5 millimeter on each side, so the final dimension of the base will be 15 by 15 centimeter. And similarly the process will carry on for rest of the inner cubes also. Once you are done with all the cubes and all the sides, just ensure that there is proper numbering, proper labeling on each slide, so that you yourself do not get confused once you take a printout. Also, the base and the light pole that we have created is only for the outermost cube. For the innermost cube it is not required, because we only need one light pole and the outermost cube is providing that. Rest of the cubes will be put around that light pole, so that when we light up the Lightbox, the light comes through all the sides as well as the top. The innermost cube that will be sitting at the center of this entire structure is basically a softener for the light from the LED strip that will be wound at the light pole. This is to reduce the intensity of the light, so that there is a soft glow coming from the Lightbox and not very bright light. So there will be no design or any kind of cutout happening on the innermost cube. So for the innermost cube, it will not be a strip rectangle, it will be just like a regular rectangle with the correct dimensions, and there will be no buffer border across there. So just a rectangle and a flap attached to it, with no design or no provision or space to create any design on it. Once you're done with all the cubes, thoroughly check each and every slide and see if all the faces, all the sides of all the cubes are properly represented, labeled and numbered. And once you're happy, you will have a blank 3D template to create your multi-sided Lightbox, and you can utilize this blank template to populate it with any designs. So guys, I hope you found this tutorial useful. I know it was a little lengthy and complex, but if you will try it out, it's very simple to understand and make. If you guys found this video useful, please do not forget to hit the like button and share this video with your friends. Also do subscribe to my channel for regular videos on paper arts, and I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Till then, stay safe, take care, and bye bye.